If you're someone who loves a good scare but craves something more profound than just a quick jolt, these movies are exactly what you need. They each offer a unique blend of psychological tension, atmospheric dread, and haunting imagery that lingers long after the credits roll. Now let's take a closer look at why these films are worth your time and how they can redefine your understanding of horror. First up, The Poughkeepsie Tapes is a film that digs into the darkest corners of the human psyche. As you watch the horrifying footage unfold, you'll find yourself questioning what real terror is. This movie doesn't rely on cheap tricks. Instead, it immerses you in a world of unsettling realism. The more you see, the more you realize that the true horror lies in what the human mind is capable of. Watching this film is like peeling back the layers of a nightmare, each tape revealing something more disturbing than the last. If you're looking to be deeply unsettled, this is the film to watch. Next, Good Night, Mommy is a psychological thriller that blurs the lines between reality and nightmare. As you get drawn into the eerie, almost surreal atmosphere of the film, you'll find yourself questioning everything you see. The relationship between the mother and her sons is central to the film's tension, and as the story unfolds, the sense of dread builds steadily. This is a movie that rewards patience, as the slow burn leads to a climax that's both shocking and chilling. If you appreciate horror that's more about atmosphere and psychological terror, Good Night, Mommy should be on your must-watch list. The Witch, another masterpiece that excels in creating an environment of pure dread. Set in the isolation of 1630s New England, this film is a masterclass in how to use setting and atmosphere to build tension. The isolation of the family, the creeping sense of something evil lurking just out of sight, and the incredible performances all come together to create a film that's impossible to shake off.
Let us pray.
The Witch doesn't just scare you, it seeps into your bones, leaving you with a feeling of unease that's hard to describe. If you haven't seen it yet, you're in for a truly unsettling experience. Lake Mungo is a film that has become a cult classic for a reason. It's one of those movies that stays with you, not because of what it shows, but because of what it makes you feel. The grief of the family, the strange occurrences, and the ultimate revelations all work together to create a haunting experience that's as emotional as it is frightening. Lake Mungo is proof that horror doesn't need to be loud or in your face to be effective. Sometimes it's the quiet moments that are the most terrifying. If you're ready for a horror experience that's more about mood and emotional depth, this is the film for you. The Blair Witch Project. This movie changed the game when it was released, and it's still one of the best examples of how effective found footage can be. What makes this film so terrifying is its simplicity. There are no elaborate special effects or jump scares. Instead, it relies on the power of suggestion and the fear of the unknown. As you watch, you'll find yourself on edge, waiting for something to happen. And when it does, it's more terrifying than you could have imagined. This is a film that understands that sometimes the scariest things are the ones you can't see. If you haven't experienced the Blair Witch Project yet, it's time to see why it's considered a classic. Night of the Living Dead is a movie that has stood the test of time for a reason. George A. Romero's film is not just a zombie movie. It's a tense, claustrophobic experience that's more about the fear of what's happening outside than what's happening on screen. The sense of dread builds as the characters realize the situation they're in, and the film's impact is still felt in horror cinema today. If you want to see where modern horror began, Night of the Living Dead is essential viewing. The Wailing is a film that's as beautiful as it is terrifying. It's a slow burn, but once it gets going, it doesn't let up. The film's mix of horror elements, from possession to mystery to outright terror, makes it a unique and unforgettable experience. The tension builds throughout, and by the time it reaches its climax, you'll be on the edge of your seat. The Wailing is a perfect example of how horror can be both artful and terrifying. If you're ready for a horror film that's as much about the journey as it is about the scares, this is one you shouldn't miss. Midsommar is a horror film that subverts expectations at every turn. Set in the bright daylight of a Swedish summer, it takes the usual dark and gloomy aesthetic of horror and flips it on its head. But don't let the beautiful scenery fool you. This is a film that's as disturbing as they come.
That's not her again.
The psychological horror builds slowly, and by the end, you'll be left with images that are impossible to forget. Midsommar is proof that horror doesn't always have to be dark to be terrifying. If you're looking for a horror experience that's unlike anything else, this is the film for you. Rosemary's Baby is a film that has been scaring audiences for over 50 years, and it's still just as effective today. The sense of paranoia and dread that builds throughout the film is masterful, and Mia Farrow's performance is nothing short of iconic. As you watch Rosemary unravel, you'll find yourself drawn into her world of fear and uncertainty. Rosemary's Baby is a classic for a reason. It's a film that understands that true horror comes from the fear of what's happening to you, rather than what's happening around you. If you haven't seen it yet, now is the perfect time to experience one of the greatest horror films ever made. Hereditary is a modern horror masterpiece that has already earned its place in the pantheon of great horror films. The film's slow build, its unsettling atmosphere, and its shocking moments all come together to create a film that's as terrifying as it is well-crafted. Toni Collette's performance is one of the best in horror, and the film's exploration of family trauma and supernatural horror is both unique and deeply unsettling. Hereditary is a film that demands to be seen, and if you're a fan of horror, it's one that you simply can't miss. So what are you waiting for? These films offer a different kind of horror, one that gets under your skin and stays with you long after the screen goes dark. Grab some popcorn, turn off the lights, and prepare yourself for a journey into the darker side of cinema. Whether you're looking to be deeply unsettled, emotionally moved, or simply scared out of your mind, these movies have something for every horror fan. Don't miss out on the chance to experience them for yourself. Start watching now and see why these films are considered some of the best in horror without jump scares. If you enjoyed this deep dive into horror films, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future horror movie breakdowns. Share your thoughts in the comments below and let us know which film left you sleepless.